a bunch of women too. I see more women now that's homeless in this country than ever before. But every day I see, it seems like I see a man. He has no shirt on, or he's barely clothed. He may have some shorts on. He's pushing either a cart or he's got a bag or whatever. And it's a pretty hard sight to see. It's really depressing to see the folks in this actual state of mind. And a lot of these folks do have drug issues, mental issues, and everything else as well too. But I am seeing a ton of this no matter where I go. Now I see a bunch of white folks out there on the streets as well too, so don't get that twisted. But I am seeing more and more and more and more black men just like half dressed, no shirt on, walking around, got a bag, mumbling to themselves, and just out there on the streets, man. And it's so sad. And you see, like, we see all of these actual benefits and resources being put together for a lot of people that's not even American citizens here in this country. That's kind of been, that's something that I want to go ahead and touch up on tonight.
Well, Newstoter, I'm gonna tell you, man, it makes me angry every time I see it here. I see a lot of it here, right where I'm at, man, and here all over Alabama. You're seeing more of our people out on the streets, black men and black women, and the numbers for black women have actually increased right after the pandemic because once they removed the so-called moratorium for mortgages and the rent, that hurt a lot of black women because then they started evicting a lot of black women out of housing. And just all over, and this is happening, of course, all over the country because they're increasing the rent. So a lot of black women have now ended up out on the streets because at one time they were talking about it was just the numbers were high for black men, but that number has now increased for black women too. So but it's intentionally being done because I want to take y'all back to a video. When Dr. Clark Anderson was talking about this was coming down the pipeline, that you had a new type of white person in America that's going to become more anti-black. And that's what this is all about. There's a lot of anti-blackness. It's at an all-time high. I know y'all can feel it. I know y'all can feel it daily when you walking just for your daily work duties, or you out shopping, or whatever you're doing in your daily life. You can probably feel the anti-blackness at an all-time high. I know I can. So therefore, this is what we're seeing out here. Things that are being done to, of course, displace us, and these immigrants is a part of that plan because these folks want black Americans to be at the very bottom, any way they can to genocide us, to get us out the way. I'm going to land right there.
Absolutely, Professor. And I saw something too, man, where they were mentioning, I think it was Eric Adams, and I think they supposed to be taking an old prison up there in New York and renovating it to go ahead and to be able to go ahead and accommodate actual migrants, immigrants, illegals coming into the country, man. I'm sitting here saying, like, what in the world? And we've held spaces on it too before. Shout out, Ray. I see you up in here, Tech Hunter, man. Trenton up in here, Actify. We've held spaces before, man. Well, we was talking about up there on what was it, Manhattan, with the hotels and some of the things that they had. Some of these actual illegals staying in $700 a night hotel rooms, and and just the perks and everything that was coming into it. And the fact that you have people on the streets, man, you have black families on the streets with actual kids walking around, and we can't do anything, like you said. They're jacking up the prices, everything like that. Housing, if you got a family, it's no reason why you shouldn't qualify for housing in this country. They're jacking up these prices to these just ridiculous prices like that. The government acts like they can't do anything because, once again, they'll say we're in a free market and this is capitalism and we can't control it and this and that. And it's ridiculous to that point, man. It's just so ridiculous. Sassy, what's going on? I see you up here tonight. How you doing? Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yes, hello, good evening, grace and peace, greetings to everyone. Hello, hello. It's totally disheartening.
Greetings, sister.
What we see going on right before our very eyes. The benign neglect that is happening.
Sassy, can we get you up a little bit louder if possible?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. So benign neglect is what we see in action here. which happened, it was made a law after the Civil Rights Act not to do anything for Black people. See how they can make it on their own after the Civil Rights Act, right? So that is what is in play now. Because I find it just so sad. In my city, they have the homeless in a parking lot with tents. But the illegals come here, they bring in 4,000 and they bring them in at night, and they give them sponsors. See, at first, they were in our rec centers, okay? And then they moved them out to, like, say, for example, Catholic Charities would adopt them. And they have to go somewhere where an organization will adopt you, right? Okay, and then some of them just went on the street. Oh, quote, I want a better life. Oh, so your better life is on the street? Get real. And I'm saying all that to say how we have our Black Americans becoming destitute. Food is high, and they don't have any place to stay. And it was like nobody cared, right? Okay, so then they come here and want to put them over us, but no, we're fighting back. I like what they did in Chicago. They interrupted that meeting of how they renovated a hotel. They said, men said, quote, there's 18,000 Black prisoners, or, men that were in jail, so they're out of jail, and you've done nothing. But we're supposed to be family, right? I'm glad he really handled that. That was just amazing. And unless we do that, unless we stand up, because the mistreatment of Black Americans who built this country, our ancestors still building it. Okay, the Smithsonian, there's they built a brand new Black museum in DC. It's beautiful. So it was for us, but they made a section for the Latinos. How dare they? Because they're not making a section for us, right? They wouldn't do that for us. And you remember in California, that lady, Lori Martinez, said, F him, quote, he's with the Black. So they don't look at us like that. Like, say, for example, how we would look at them. Black people are automatically compassionate, thoughtful, caring, until you rub us the wrong way. Come on, somebody. See, it's just our nature. But I said all that to say, in closing, we've got to stand up against these atrocities and say we are not going to take it. Affirmative action is in the Supreme Court right now. Well, why is it in the Supreme Court, sassy lady? Because an Asian felt that Harvard was letting in too many Blacks, and he didn't get in. So what? You didn't qualify. So affirmative action is on the chopping block. Who does affirmative action help most? White women. Okay? See that? But it will help now. Years ago, it did help my dad get jobs. He started out as an architect, but now he's deceased. Rest your soul, Pops. You did your job. Help him get jobs, big contracting jobs. But they were in conjunction with, like, Hinselfeld, some of the big white companies. See, he has a small construction company. And affirmative action is what helped him get those jobs. I said all that to say, unless we continue to fight, see, we got to tell ourselves we ain't gonna have it. And I will not sit by idly and watch this happen. Oh yeah, I talk stuff, but I also send out emails to the mayor, to the governor, to Mr. Walton, because I don't like the fact that I'm playing. I don't like the fact that he closing those Walmarts in Chicago, Southside. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. Because that's just like saying, oh, because the stole out of here, and so what? He should have kept his commitment to the people of the South Side of Chicago. rights and injustices of Black people everywhere. I don't care who you are. You see what I'm saying? Now, homeless families are Black, but illegals get housing. That's wrong. That is wrong. And we got to do something about it. If we have to go on some of these local news channels, if we have to send them emails and talk to some of these reporters, we've got to get this word out. Now, I speak highly of Black people, even though we do have our Black people, even though we do have some issues. But still, 107 historical Black colleges built the railroads, streets, museums, navies in our name. America did not win the battles, wars without Black men. Even in Normandy, in Germany, we are Black men. Tuskegee Airmen. My first degree came from Tuskegee Institute, an all-Black school, and I felt I was at home when I was there, learning all that history, learning Cleopatra was Black. Just all the history was phenomenal. I learned about all of that, and I'm not gonna have it. I'm probably one of the oldest sisters on this chat right now. I know I don't look it, but I got some miles on me. Okay, and I'm still fresh, hot, young, and I know what to do. And I'm glad Generation Z is fighting against these injustices. They put Derek Chauvin in jail. That was Generation Y, I'm sorry. They put him in jail. Because normally we know how they get off. Because they shot that brother, Jalen Walker, 60 times. And the grand jury said it was okay. No, I know I'm rambling. Just bear with me. And no. And our homeless are on the street, especially the veterans. Our veterans are on the street. I meet them every day. They come up to me and say, can I, give me $1? I said, I will buy you something. Okay. I said, you're a vet? He said, yes. Oh, God, what's going on here? No, it's not right. And we've got to do something about it. We've got to run our mouth, get to interruptions, get to news stations. We're not going to sit by idle. Say that with me. We will not sit by idle and allow these atrocities to take place. Even now, I'm gonna say one last thing and I'm closing. Because my handyman is homeless now, and he might come watch the game or something. But he's a veteran. And he's in his van. And I told him, I said, well, you can come and rest on the couch during the day. But we're gonna, we'll have to work together to get you a place to stay. And see what's going on, call the Veterans Administration, and see what's happening. So we've got to do something about this stuff. We've got to do something. I don't care. Go on CNN, Fox News, these channels, and get the word out. And because the celebrity Black caucus, they ain't doing nothing. They're not doing nothing. Am I right or wrong? Now they talking about they going on a tour at the taxpayers' expense. We will not stand by idly and allow this to happen. Okay? I know I'm repeating myself, and I'm closing, and I'll land. And thank you for having me. Allow me to talk. Just, kind of just share a few things. Kind of get some stuff off my chest. So thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, Sassy. I see we got a few more people coming up in here. So shout out to everybody that's coming up in the space tonight. We're looking at a report back from 2019, 2020 about the actual homeless rate, the actual homeless rate for families in this country, and Black people were over 50%. We're talking about that tonight, as well as the fact that we have it doesn't seem to have an issue. We don't have an issue housing actual illegal migrants coming to this country, but for whatever reason, a significant portion of the actual American population is homeless, and be that Black, white, Hispanic, whatever, actual American citizens are out on the streets, some of them with families living out out of their cars. Some of them not even living out of their cars. So we're talking about that tonight. And I want to go ahead real quick and share this article as well too. So shout out to everybody coming up in the space as well too. Please tweet the space out. Professor, can you hear me? I'm gonna go because I'm gonna read this article from the actual site. So I'm gonna check up with you occasionally because last time we had a space and I started reading the article, we end up having some connection issues. So let me know, Professor DJ, you up in the space as well. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. As I read a few sentences or whatever, I'm going to check up with you because it's a pretty short article. It's actually up in the Jumbotron too. It's the first one on the right-hand side. I'm going to read it just to make sure that the actual audio and everything, that I haven't lost any connection with the space as well too. So give me 1 second while I get this article up real quick. It's from ABC News. Like I say, it was an actual report back in 2019. It's titled "More Than 50% of Homeless Families are Black, Government Report Finds." You say you can hear me still, Professor?
I can.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Let me go ahead and read it. And after I read the paragraph, I'm going to check with you guys just to make sure again. African Americans, despite making up just 13% of the U.S. population, account for a staggeringly disproportionate chunk of the nation's homeless population, according to a government report. In 2019, an estimated 568,000 Americans experienced homelessness, with African Americans making up about 40% of that total, according to the annual homeless assessment report to Congress. The total figure in 2018 was 553,000. Can you guys still hear me? You still hear me, Professor?
I can.
All right. The disparity was starker when looking at the number of homeless people with children. African Americans accounted for about 52% of that population, with whites accounting for about 35%, the report said. In contrast, 48% of all people experiencing homelessness were white, compared with 77% of the U.S. total population, while people who identify as Hispanic or Latinos represented about 22% of the homeless population, but only 18% of the overall population. I'm still good, Professor? Professor, you still can? I'm still good. Oh, okay. You just know how these things, sometimes we go to these sites and read the whole article. African Americans have remained considerably overrepresented among the homeless population compared to the U.S. population, the report said. The report demonstrates continued progress towards ending homelessness, with also a need to recalibrate policy to make future efforts more effective and align with unique needs of different communities. The U.S. Housing and Urban Development Report, which came out earlier this month, was based on endpoint time estimates of homelessness taken on a single night in January 2019. Professor, I'm still good?
You're still good.
Okay. Advocates pointed to the compounding effects of long-standing discrimination and inequalities within the country's housing, criminal justice, and healthcare systems to explain why African Americans make up such a large portion of the homeless population compared with their overall proportion of the general population. This year's report is urgent call to action to federal, state, local leaders. Nan Roman, president and CEO of the National Alliance to End Homelessness, said in a statement in response to the report findings, "Now is not the time to abandon the practices that drove these results. Now is the time to get serious about funding them to scale." Professor, I'm still good?
You're still good.
Okay. The organization research found that poverty was a strong predictor of homelessness, and noted that African American households are much more likely to experience poverty than their white counterparts. About 21% of African Americans live in poverty, nearly 2.5 times the rate of whites, the organization said. This isn't the fault of the homeless sector. It is not the fault of people who experience homelessness, Roman said. It is the fault of the systems that have failed our most vulnerable populations and leaders who failed to protect them. Our charge for 2020 is to remain committed to the best practices in ending homelessness and remain resolved to addressing the system that caused people to become homeless. So, yeah, that's from ABC News. That was taken back in 2019, guys, that report. So I wanted to go ahead and share that, let you know where we're at. I know Volvo was up here a second ago. He had his hand up, so I don't know what happened to him. He must have dropped out, but Volvo, if you get a chance to come back up here and you want to speak, I don't see you in the space right now, so maybe you had something to do. But by all means, you can come back up here and get the mic. True Words, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, everything that you shared, of course, is absolutely true. And out of that 500,000 and that point of time where they're looking at those people who are homeless and they're Black, it is when and you broke it down. When you get out of, if you're incarcerated, you get out of prison, many people experience homelessness. A medical step away. Many people's homes, excuse me, getting up off the couch. Many people's apartment buildings have been, quotey fingers, converted, and they're out, homeless. Affordable housing is a racket at this point. It's not a real thing. It's just to keep people renters, but that's a whole other story. And then how the measurements to get an apartment and secure it, and then to keep it. Homelessness is definitely happening more and more with our older Black people because of the lack of income when one gets older, and securing and keeping housing. You might have been in your house and you paid it off, but property taxes go up. You might find yourself in I'm here in Seattle, and property taxes go through the roof, and I work with a coalition that they are, quote, stopping homelessness. And I said, well, you're on the streets. My concern is there's a whole lot of people, particularly Black people here in Seattle, and my words were that you all are making their property taxes $8,000-$10,000 a year. Well, that's based on, let me finish, based on their property values. But you know that they don't have the income for that, so you're passively getting them out of their homes. And, you don't have that income. They didn't make that much to begin with, so now you're burdening them with that. And it's happening more and more where these passive steps are happening that are increasing homelessness within our community. I will stop there and let you keep going, Ms. Totter. It's a complex issue that is fucked up.
Oh, appreciate that, True. I mean, you could have kept going on. I enjoyed hearing you speak. If you also notice too, it seems like it's a concerted effort throughout the country, and I can especially say here in Florida, and a lot of these areas where you may have, I guess you could say you have these housing developments. A lot of them are being torn down. Some old housing developments from the early '70s are being torn down, and now they're constructing these condominiums, these townhouses, and it's supposed to be better, and it's supposed to be this and that or whatever. But here's the thing: that the actual housing developments that you're tearing down, well, the people can't afford the new townhouses and condominiums that you're building up. So in a sense, you're just pretty much gentrifying them right up out the area, and it's too expensive for them to go ahead and live in the places that you're building up now.
And that's exactly what happened here as well. And I said, you all are coming in now as, white organization, and you say you want to fix the problem. Well, I grew up in the housing projects in Chicago, and I heard this spiel. I was in the Robert Taylor Homes. Oh, we made a mistake housing all of you, together. It put crime inside. So your solution is to tear them down, and where are we supposed to go? Because you're going to fix the problem, but that land is what you wanted. Because the Gold Coast in Chicago, where the Cabrini Green was, is right next to the United Center, which now holds part of the Gold Coast, which is a neighborhood in Chicago, literally called the Gold Coast, that now has some of the most, prosperous properties in Chicago. You wanted that land. This idea that they are taking away this public housing detriment, helping Black people because of the crime. So you think there's going to be less interaction of crime because I'm on the street? Is that what you're all, people are thinking? So it becomes a thing where you all have created the problem, white institutions, and now you think solving it where you are going to fill your coffers again by doing the same thing. And it has a report, and I know that report. I just want people to understand our homelessness has nearly almost not like went up 4 times the percentage, because the numbers in 1 year were flipped, that the majority were white homeless. And I hope you all caught that. They were the majority, and now we're the majority in less than 18 months. Now, everything that he just said, when we're talking about things in gentrification, what happens? I'm an educator here, and families. The schools are where I'm at in the south part of Seattle. the schools are gone because everything that you just said, all the apartment buildings are going, or they're refurbishing them, and the rents are going up. And so I had a population at my school, and I know this, 518 kids. Next year's population at my school will only be 287. They gone. They can't afford it. They gone. They gone. And this is happening at the schools in many areas. So it's that passive thing where we're getting told that we're tearing down public housing because we don't want you to live like that as Black Americans. It was a mistake. With no other options, then you're at the mercy of private investor landlords who went around and bought up rental properties in order for you to live in. This is the moniker now to make money, which outperforms the stock market, is to go and buy up rental properties and apartment buildings. Many apartment buildings went, during the pandemic, to LLCs, they're private investing firm, companies now, and these are the same people who went out and bought up all the homes so they can rent them, and now you're at the mercy of it. Rents went up because you're in a captive market. Rents went up on average 37% in America. 37%. That's not natural. That's why I've been saying, I don't understand from city councils and so on, why the fuck is there not rent control? And I'm not saying rent control being you can only increase 5%. These are things to storm the gates on, because this is bullshit. And we have it set up in the city where we are at right now, this area, where we're putting that action, we're going to our meetings to make that happen. Because you can't be a part of this. You're not a private institution when you have the infrastructure. It's a long thing because you have to be a part of the city to be a part of the apartment building. And you say you have affordable housing, but the incrementation, as you said, in Florida and so on, 37%. And this is where the pushback has to come. And it has to come at a grassroots because we are the ones being affected. Yeah, I'll stop. I'm such an activist about it, and I keep pushing, and we are making headways where I'm at, and I want more people to make headways because we're capping things at 5%, that in 2 years, you get a 5% increase. You can't have, a 15, nobody's getting that much salary. And at this point, they're turning an entire generation into lifelong renters because that's where the money is. And I hope people hear that. This rental market is white people's way to make money. Never forget, Jeff Bezos is buying up land next to all his distribution centers to turn his workers into living on the property where he's at. Just keep that in mind. I'll be quiet. There's a hand up.
No, you was going in though. You were going in, and you were spot on. Now you say you were in Seattle as well too. I believe you said.
Yes.
So we know that you guys have some of the highest rentals in the entire country. Like Seattle is a very expensive place to stay at.
I seriously, it is honestly ridiculous what happened, after the pandemic, and even this, Cordy Finger, whatever city that it's trying to be, it's outrageous. I mean, on average, a one bedroom, 620 square feet, $2,200.
Now say that again. A 600 square foot place is how much? $2,200?
On average, if you're in Seattle, I mean, $2,200, 2 bedrooms on average is roughly around, getting over about $3,400.
Back in the day, I had a studio apartment and it included everything. It included like basic cable, lights, and everything. And it was probably about 500 and something square feet. And I think it was like $700 a month. So think of, and I mean, that was some years ago.
Yeah, but I do see hands up. But I do want people to understand, it is now, these are private investors. This is private investing, where the affordable housing market is, that these private investors, they go in, they tell them that they will build affordable housing in phase two. Always not the first phase, it's phase two. And they get these low interest, city grants to build. The list is long. And, and then they make a whole list of rules that no affordable housing candidate could ever follow. And so then they put that apartment on market value. So they say, oh, we tried, and their hands up, so I will be quiet.
All right, don't go too far. I'm sure because like I said, you're dropping quite a bit of knowledge, so don't go too far. Miss Giselle, go ahead. How you doing tonight?
Hey, hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, he is not lying when it comes to like these things. We started noticing a lot of the banking organizations are now renting out property. The same people who have to qualify you to get a loan are now the ones who are renting properties to you. And it seems like they're kind of herding us into the areas where they want people to be. And when it comes to when you lose your home, you actually can't rent. When you lose your rental property, you can't rent again until that stuff is paid off. So you'll be living in the street until things are paid off. We had a couple of those people who went through that. One of the people that we were talking last year when we did our homeless drive down here in Baltimore, and we saw like in real time with how our people are displaced. It wasn't one single Hispanic in the mix. Not one single Hispanic was out there. So, and in addition to that, with the renting, with the rental of the properties, a lot of the hospitals, like here in Maryland, John Hopkins buy up a lot of the properties. We're still dealing with lead-based poison issues here in this state. That should not be a thing. That was an 80s thing. Why are we dealing with that still right now? So, it feels like they're systematically doing these things. They allow, large corporations and people outside the state to purchase these properties and then rent it to the people within the state at astronomical prices. They create the inflation. They create it, and then the rent in these homes. They constantly want you to have to keep moving. They don't want you to stay. Used to be back in the day, you could rent a property. You lived in the same apartment for like for 10 years or so, right? Now, because they increase every year by like $100, they got you moving constantly because they know it's money in that. We keep them moving. The U-Haul company makes money. It's kind of like keeping you in a circle, like running on a hamster wheel. So this, I think, is more of a capitalistic way of just blocking us out of being able to rent. Being able to own land and keeping us in a loop of like forever renters, so we can give them a forever of income. Because this gives them a permanent income when you look at how the rental model is set up for renters today. And you can't even write it off on your taxes. These property owners in our state also, these property owners, they're the ones that's behind on the taxes. But God forbid, you miss 5 days with your rent, they got a yellow ticket, red ticket, pink slip on your door, ready to put you out of your house. And they have no regard. Even if you do pay on your rent, they will put you the hell out. They have the right to do that. If you're behind it, like, hey, no, we want it all at once. Like, I had a situation. Nobody cares about that. They don't care about your situations. It's not, or you had one mistake, so all right, we can fix that. They don't even give you one chance. And that's where these renters, it's like a monopoly almost. They're trying to make out of the housing crisis, because we're about to go through another one. We had a lot of people that lost homes back in 2009, and with all of that, and a lot of people were forced into renting. And we talk about our elders; they were heavily affected during that time, and they got into these reverse mortgages and stuff like that. And then their family can't even go back and get those properties because the value that they were told that would come into those properties, they didn't. It never happened. So it's like people switched into reverse mortgages. Family passed away. Nobody had those properties anymore, so the banks now own most of those properties. They just did a big land grab in America, pretty much. So I'm gonna land with that.
All right, thank you. And those reverse mortgages, yeah, we've heard a lot of different nightmare stories on those reverse mortgages as well too. So thank you, Miss Giselle. Let me go ahead and
And
get
interest only mortgages too. Giselle, you're spot on.
Right.
Those two are killing. Interest only mortgages and reverse mortgages.
all right. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Carlos, and then we're gonna get to Dana real quick. DJ Professor, y'all hold it down for me 1 second. After Carlos goes, then it's Dana's turn if I'm not back by then. What's up, Carlos?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Peace to the room. Thanks, Newstoter, for letting me speak. Peace to the co-host. I just wanted to piggyback on what the brother was saying about them tearing down the public housing. In my city of Virginia, where I grew up, it was 6 housing projects. They tore down one because they said they had lead paint, and they offered to sell it. The one that I grew up in, they tore that down and built townhouses, and they offered people that were there the first option to buy. Well, you can't buy the townhouses. You had the first option to live there, but you only had 2 years. In 2 years, they said you should be able to have your stuff together and be able to purchase your own home. Now, if you come from the projects, how you're already not making a lot of money as it is. How are you going to have in just 2 years enough money to purchase a home? And then the third project that they tore down, this project, they built houses. The city gave the people that was in the projects the first option to buy the homes, but they put a stipulation on it. If you have a child or anybody in your family that has any kind of criminal record, you can't buy a home. Guess who bought all those houses? White people. They came and took that whole complete area. That was one of the biggest projects in our area, and it's just another way for them to push us out of our affordable housing and things like that they say they're doing in our best interest, but they're really not. They're just using that as a way to take over the land. And what made that situation even worse was Eddie George, the football player. I'm not sure that a lot of people are familiar with him. His construction company was the one that they hired to build these houses. But the Black American mayor of the city was in bed with the construction company to get these people pushed out of their affordable housing. And I'm gonna land there.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you.
Hey, can I jump in right there in 2 seconds to piggyback off of Carlos?
Go ahead.
So with that being said, that's 100% accurate. So the mayor of my town, Tony Voss, Irvington, New Jersey, he's a fucking another Sambo Coon, you know what I'm saying? So one day I went outside and I saw some flyers to rebuild Irvington General into what do you call it? They turned it into a condo complex or whatever. So, we lost the hospital here in the town, and obviously it is what it is, you know what I mean? So I come outside one day in the summer and I see a bunch of flyers looking for all types of carpenters, plumbers, masonry, electricians, whatever, in the neighborhood around here in my block, Chancellor Ave, you already know what time it is, to come up and get jobs over there to build up that condo complex. Why would you need to put flyers out in the neighborhood to ask for people that need jobs literally? And I know a bunch of contractors around here that could have used those jobs, but why would you need to advertise it like that when whoever got the bid for the contract for the construction company got their own workers already? If you ever worked at any type of construction, you know that already. You know what I'm saying? So this shit is a farce right here. So I called his office, hit him on Facebook several times. Hey, yo, who's hiring for this? Why wasn't this a mass campaign? You got the Westward, what do you call it? You know, they little offices they be having throughout the town. You know, you got your West Ward councilman, your East Ward councilman. The council building on the west side sit right here in the corner of my block. Why wasn't y'all out here campaigning, talk about, hey, y'all need jobs? Nobody said anything. And when I brought it to their attention to complain about this stuff, they wound up blocking me from the mayor's Facebook page or the township mayor's Facebook page because I'm calling them out. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody around here got notice of these jobs. So when I go outside and I ask the people, hey, yo, y'all heard of this? Yo, whoop-de-whoop. Nah, where these jobs at, bro? Damn, CD, man, where you find this at? I'm asking y'all what y'all know about it. Nah, I didn't know anything about it. And when I say asking people, I'm talking about specifically Black Negro Americans. Nobody knew. This is why we call the mayor. You really Haitian, bro. You don't really look out for all Black people. You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this ain't a shot at anybody that's Haitian or anything like that, or other African or whatever the case be. This is what us Black Americans have been talking about the diaspora. Y'all get in these offices and you look out for your people. Irvington is not by Haitian now. It used to be all Black American. It mixed with a little bit of Italian and Polish. You know what I mean? So now that we understand this concept in the context of how they really doing this is a problem, yo. So let's get back to also, I wasn't sure who said that, about the majority of the white folks are really the homeless people. This is what I've been keep repeating to y'all. Over here in North, Ross Coon Baraka, the mayor, Coon Baraka, there you go. It's allegedly 200,000 people home on the streets of North, yo. So, got a phone call. There's allegedly 200,000 people homeless on the streets of North. But when I'm outside, I don't see anybody that's Black American looking, let alone melanated African Caribbean looking that's homeless. It's mainly these white folks and these Mexicans that's coming over here that's on the street, yo. You see them along the bridge or the highways and byway exits. You see them just standing in front of the stores begging for money. You know, some of them, they do what they got to do as far as, start selling them rats on the street. You feel what I'm saying? Or they start selling their little tacos and shit. And look, the police don't even bother them. But let me come out here with some CDs. Let one of our folks come out here with some dinners. Man, we getting locked up right then and there. And let me yell, because go ahead.
All right. Appreciate that, DJ. I'm gonna go to Dana. Before we get to Dana, and I saw the comment that you put out there, good news. You say y'all spend too much time complaining instead of organizing. Well, nobody's stopping you from organizing either, brother. So if you want to go ahead and organize. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. Professor, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you all right.
Yeah.
Hey, drop me down, Todd, if you can hear me. I guess the shit went in the matrix.
All right. But real quick, this is a news worthy this is a news space right here where we talk about news that's relevant to Black Americans. And I get what you're saying. Good news. You're saying that we spend too much time complaining, but at the same time, and now you got the Kanye profile. So I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but at the same time, nobody's stopping you in this space from organizing yourself too. If you feel like it's too many people complaining, then by all means, go out there and organize something for the homeless people in these communities of Black people, and go ahead and help them out as well too. So a lot of times we hear Black people come up in spaces saying that you need to do this, do that, or whatever. No, and most of the ones saying that, nobody in the world is stopping them from going out there doing it themselves. Nobody, not one person is stopping them from going out there and organizing and creating and doing something worthy in the community. So while you're sitting up here saying other people are complaining, ain't doing this and ain't doing that, nobody's stopping you either. So go ahead and organize, and then go ahead and lay the steps down so other people can follow you. Put it, set an example so everybody else can follow you and see exactly how to go ahead and succeed from what you're doing. Dana, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, good space you're having tonight. Good discussion topic. But I gotta disagree with you right there, Newstoter, and I gotta push all the way back on WPI, and then I want to just sum up what I have to say with as far as the rent, because And I'm born and raised East Orange and adult life in North. But, you know, I do disagree with you calling Ross Baraka a coon because it's nobody's responsibility as a grown adult to slide a job application under your door. Get out there and get it. There are, and I can say what, and first of all, I don't trust politicians, so it's not like me riding for Ross Baraka. But what I can say for sure, for certain, he put out so many employment opportunities, job opportunities, training opportunities in the city of Newark. Black people don't want to work. And this is firsthand experience. So I lived there for decades, grew up there. A lot of people don't want to work, and people got to understand that white, black, Americans, a lot of Americans don't want to work, but I want to focus on black people. What is happening, particularly let's just stick in Newark and the surrounding areas around Newark, Elizabeth, or whatever, you have the Hispanics and South Americans, they're organizing and they monopolizing industries. So, for example, the construction, because I know what he's talking about, Irvington General. That hospital stayed abandoned for decades, and I've heard that they was going to turn it eventually into condominiums. So, if they were handing out flyers for carpentries and this that, if black people were specializing in that, why didn't they go and seek? If you have a specialty in anything, whether you see it on a flyer or not, it is your responsibility to go and find out, okay, where are the job opportunities? You need to have a connection when it comes to City Hall so you can see and know what constructions are coming into that city so that you could say, okay, are they hiring for this specialty whatsoever? So it is our responsibility to organize. And I'm not talking about, just coming up here complaining on Twitter. I'm saying out in the real world. But from what I see, particularly in North, there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of people don't want to work. When you have Hispanics and even a Portuguese down in the Ironbound section who's been there for decades and build up a strong economic community, they monopolize industries such as construction. And at one point, for a very long time, you will see whether they're illegal immigrants, whether they're not so much Mexicans or whatever, but they were illegal immigrants. They stand out in certain areas starting at 5, 6 in the morning, and they hop on somebody's truck for day work. You don't see that anymore. Where did those people go? The people that were citizens, particularly in North, that started companies like construction and redevelopment, they monopolized that industry, and they said, don't stand out and work for nobody else. We're going to hire you. You're going to come work for us. If you're not a citizen, we're going to pay you under the table. So you don't get that cheap labor because they took up their own people and employ them themselves. When it comes to transportation, whether it's Uber or cab service or car service, the Colombians and South Americans, they're monopolizing that, particularly in Elizabeth, Linden, and so forth. So you have immigrants who specialize in something, start up a business, work together with other business in their community to monopolize industry, and they take the illegals under their umbrella. They have the economic power to influence City Hall. But one thing I can say about Ross Barker, because he knows all this, you have to play politics. And so he can't wear that dashiki 24/7. But what he does that I've seen and witnessed firsthand, he does make sure that Black people are getting programs and assistance to keep their homes, apartment assistance if they can't pay their rent, healthcare, job employment. A lot of people in the city of North can't pass a drug test. And if you can't pass a drug test, then you can't be qualified to go into a program or get employed. So there's a lot of things that are going on. But the responsibility really right now does have to lie on us as an individual and our ability of working together. Now, put that aside, for instance, and we talk about homelessness and affordable housing or rent control, New Jersey, period, the whole state, that whole tri-state area is ridiculous. There should be brand new laws in effect that stops homeowners or people that own these buildings and stuff like that, stop them from allowing to raise the rent, because what they do, they do have affordable homes or affordable apartments, and then if somebody leaves, they could turn that rent control apartment to market rent. But market rent could be over 200% increase, because they were doing that in New York first, and then they started pushing over in Jersey City and all throughout the rest of New Jersey. So rent control is an issue to where regular working people are being locked out and pushed out and turned homeless because people can't afford it. And if we all remember, right after COVID and after all that money and all that assistance dried up, those owners that own the buildings and the houses that, have multifamily apartments, they started to increase the rent by over 40%. That was crazy, because they're trying to make that money back. They're not even trying to make money back, because the money that the tenants were paying, they were getting that money from the federal and the state. So they didn't lose anything, but they had an opportunity to still increase the rent, which caused a lot of people to be homeless. So if Black people specifically, if we're not organizing economically, as far as getting trained in special areas, and being productive and proactive, and going down to City Hall to see what's coming in, you know what I'm saying, and what's going on, and job employment, if we're not working together to organize and start monopolizing our own ecosystem, then it's going to be more homeless people of us. But he is right. There are a lot of white people that are coming into Newark who are drug addicts and homeless. And that is because the people from the suburbs are pushing them out and basically saying, yeah, go there, and because we don't want you here. And then on top of that, the city of Newark, they get so much funding for rehabilitation, for substance abuse, and so forth. So the white people are coming into Newark because they know, well, I could get a check or I could get this benefit, and then the suburbs are pushing them out at the same time. But either way, we do have to really start taking responsibility and accountability and being proactive with organizing for economic empowerment. So I'll yield right there.
All right. DJ, did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I want to rebuttal everything she just said. I want everybody to listen to me, disregard everything she just said. So again, let me repeat to you. Tony Voss, the mayor of Irvington, if you putting out flyers and information to go see about a particular job, regardless of the occupation, people don't need a flyer. They need automatic jobs. So again, if it's a construction job, why would you need to hire the locals in the town to build up the spot when whatever the construction company you've got that won the bid got their own workers already? That didn't make any sense. And when I stepped to the mayor about it and said, hey, look, I think you're pulling a sham on the people, I get blocked from the Facebook page. They don't pick up my calls no more because you know you lying. Ain't no
1 second. Let me ask you this question.
No, hold on a minute. It ain't no jobs out here for these people. So who are you telling that they're allowed to get a job or going to apply for a job? This ain't nothing but a sham. You feel what I'm saying?
The question I want to ask you, for instance, if they were remodeling or turning the Irvington General Hospital to condominiums, as redevelopment company that won that bid, you're right. A lot of them do have their own contractors of companies that they hire to come in with their workers. But if the mayor is pulling out flyers or information for people that live in that community to come work on that site, that's the right thing to do. Because you want to. Let me finish. No, let me finish my statement, then you could go.
Wait, hold on. Because Dana, technically it was DJ's turn, and
no,
you.
I said let me ask him a question.
You can ask some questions, but stop for a second. Let me correct you about the hospital.
No, you can't.
It was only closed for about a decade, And then the other thing is, by the time he started handing out those flyers, the construction was already in the works. They was already building. So why would you need to have people to come up there now? You already got them.
Right, but my thing is, you should hire people where you live at. Now, did they turn that hospital?
Nobody knocking that, Dana, that you shouldn't hire people where you live at. But again, we're talking about a specific work criteria or position, construction. Majority of these people that win big contracts, I've been on a lot of construction jobs, electrician, carpentry, add it up, just regular worker, just sweep the floor. They got their own peoples already. And most likely, 9 times out of 10, when you go into these construction jobs, you get them from the actual contractor, not the township. They don't work. They
yes
don't have.
And no. That's what I'm saying to you. That's yes and no. So that's why I said these contractors, well, these development companies, they win these contracts. But the deal is, you have to hire a certain percentage of people that live in that town. Just like you have to hire by federal law and state law, you have to hire a certain percentage of minorities, particularly Black people, I believe 10%. So you still have to hire people where you are building at. That's why you saw those flyers.
So again, Dana, by the time he sent those flyers through the neighborhood, the construction was there and they're already done. So what electrician you need to run cable in that?
So if there were Black people that were already electricians, particularly let's say in Irvington, so all the people that are in that trade, they should have a organization or community organization to where we know what contracts are coming in and we want to put our bid in to get those contracts. They don't have that. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Well, we understand that we are not organized in that way, Dana. But again, why are you got these flyers saying XYZ ABC when the job is already done?
He's legally required to do so.
Right. Correct. I'm glad you said it like that. Legally required. That don't mean he has to enforce the legalization.
It's not about enforcing it. So this is what I'm saying. No one is not going to tell you. No one is not going to give you a job. It's legally required to do that.
Wait, hold on. Hold on, DJ, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute, because we can't. One person speaking on the other, so you go ahead and speak, and then let Dana go ahead and speak as well too, because we got both of y'all speaking over each other. You go ahead and speak, then Dana, then you go ahead and say something in there too.
All right, so I just want to finish this up. Legally, he's required to do that. As a mayor, he's supposed to do that legally. But people, particularly in Irvington, Black people in Irvington who are the carpenters and electricians, if they are specialized in that trade, it is your responsibility to organize and make sure that you are connected to City Hall and seeing what contracts come in. I know how these contracts are given out because I've been to Essex County board or something, but if you go there, I forgot the goddamn name because there's so many damn boards, and they are elected by our Essex County director, DaVincio. No. Essex County Executive Director Joe DaVincio. He appoints people to a board. That board, they're the ones that approve contracts, such as people who are allowed to redevelop Irvington General Hospital. And a majority of those contractors that are awarded those contracts within Essex County, particularly North and the surrounding urban cities, East Orange or Irvington, a lot of those redevelopment companies don't even live in North. But it is by law for them to hire within that city, which is why you saw those flyers. But if we are not organized already to pick up those jobs, then they're not going to see the people that live there being hired.
All righty. DJ, you want to say something real quick before we move it to the next?
So again, when we're talking about construction or any type of field, anything in that field, laboring, those jobs are already filled, those positions. So by the time, again, those flies came around, Irvington General, whatever they was turning into a condo complex, it was already done. You don't need no laborers to come up here and do anything. You don't need no electrician to run no lines. You don't need nobody to do no scaffolding. You don't need nobody to put on no sheetrock. It's finished already. So by the time we see these flyers, and I'm going around asking the people in the neighborhood that do these jobs, hey, yo, you boom, 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 boom. Nah, bro, I ain't heard none of this. I don't know none of this. And when I say a lot of these folks are connected to places like City Hall or the mayor or know who's who in the town. These ain't just regular Joes I'm talking about, Dana. Nobody knew about this. And again, when I made a complaint to the mayor's office, I'm getting blocked from the Facebook page. I'm not getting my calls returned. So let's talk about what's really going on. And the hospital, again, wasn't closed for decades. It was only closed for maybe about a decade at best. At best. You feel what I'm saying?
When did that redevelopment, when did that project finish?
It's been finished probably like a decade ago now. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, because I don't go to Irvington, but so if it's been completed and turned into condominiums for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Right, but growing up around in that area, that hospital been abandoned, I believe, since the 80s.
No, Dana. I've been to Irvington General in 2000 as a patient.
In 2000, well, whatever, but it's 2023, so okay, 8 decades. But the fact is, knowing people in City Hall and organizing are two different things. And I think we just need to start looking at it from a political business view.
Yeah, so again, I disagree with you there, and it's not that we're not looking at this as a political business type thing. Okay, let's talk about Seth Boyer. You know where that's at, right? Weekway section in the building. Let's go. So you know they knocked down the projects, right?
Hey, and real quick after this, I'm gonna get to the speakers too, y'all.
Right. Yeah, I ain't trying to hold it up because I'm over here doing something. So they knocked down the projects, right? Guess what's coming to Seth Boyer? Lionsgate Cinema. So, same situation.
No, that was shut down. It's not coming. It's not coming, sir. I can tell you right now, it's not coming.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's coming or not. It's about what it is I'm explaining.
Right, but housing is state property. So they can do what they want with that property.
Right. So, again, regardless of it's coming or not, okay, so just pretend that it's still on its way, right? So, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar film conglomerate that's coming to an old project that used to be right here in the bricks. So tell me how many people you know around the way that got skills in film production, audio engineering, post-production, lighting technician, all this other stuff. When I graduated school, IAR, Institute of Audio Research, when I went to go try to get a job at Snork Symphony Hall and then at NJPAC, oh, you got to be in the union. Hold on a minute. There is no union for audio engineers or anything of the music really like that unless you're into the stage building part of the process. You need to be unionized for that because that's construction. See that? So at the end of the day, how many folks you know that got skills in these particular positions to fill right here in the neighborhood when Lionsgate Cinema comes in? Nobody.
First of all, hold
on. You're going to be the janitor, the security guard, and at best, that's about it.
So you're seeing two different things here. Are you saying that there are not enough black people?
No, it's not.
Are you saying that it's not enough black people in that field?
Stop and listen.
I'm asking you a question.
No, stop and listen. I'm going to answer the question if you stop and listen.
That's a yes or no.
No, it's not a yes or no question.
I'm asking you, are there people, black people?
Stop, bro. Stop.
Go ahead, go. Like I say, go ahead. I'm gonna give y'all a minute apiece to wrap it up, so we can go in and move on.
Because I gotta go do something over here. It's not that there's no black people here to fill those jobs. There's plenty of black Negro Americans. Newark is 51% still Negro American. Just Newark itself, not Irvington.
But are they specialized in that field?
Dana, I just said that to you. You're not
then why are they not organizing?
Dana, I just exactly said that to you. If you be quiet for a moment.
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm telling you they're not organized.
How do you know that? You're not here.
Because if they were organized,
then
they would get those jobs. And you know why they're not getting the jobs, particularly at Lionsgate? Because they're not coming.
Again, if you would listen and learn something. So they wound up putting a program at Newark Museum that anybody could come down there, kids between, I guess, like 10 and 18 or whatever the case be, to learn film production, audio engineering, music production, to potentially get jobs at the Lionsgate. So we did organize and made a fuss and a farce and complain and say, hey, what the hell is going on? Because ain't none of us suitable for them type of jobs. See that?
No, I don't see that, sir. Because they're not coming. So whether they're coming or not, you giving me a whole bunch
it doesn't
of
matter if they're coming or not now. At this point,
they're not going to give it to us.
No, I'm sorry, Tyler. I don't like people that like to feel like they want to argue. You're not listening.
I'm not arguing, but the fact
No,
that
I gotta read this mic.
Wait, hold on. No, wait. This is what I gotta do. This is what I'm gonna go ahead and listen here. Hold on real quick. Because y'all going back and forth, and we got some speakers and stuff like this, and y'all gonna keep going back and forth. So what I'm gonna do is move the conversation along so we can go ahead and get to the other speakers.
All I'm gonna say is, if you're not here in the neighborhood to actually see what's going on,
I'm there.
you don't know what's going on.
Please
Listen, hold on. Okay, that's it for that right there. Because we had speakers waiting for a minute, and Miss Giselle's disconnecting. So let me go ahead and get the true words. True words. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
And I, I'm listening, and I'm not here to be adversarial with anyone because I don't do that. But there is a bit of a conflation. I will only say that when I hear, as a teacher, as someone educated, as someone, the list is long, doesn't, and I'm very big on saying the following. It doesn't matter if you have the skills or not. Are you going to get the job? They are still the gatekeepers. I have 3 master's degrees. I have a PhD. I head my department at the University of Washington, and there is still going to be hesitation. When we talk construction, which I'm a behaviorist and social contract person, that's my degrees, we studied that. Those jobs have gone to, hey, I'm from Chicago, so I know where construction jobs go, and that those people who line up for it, who gets it. We don't have that. We are barred historically out of unions. We are historically. I understand when people say, black people, we got to go get the job. There are earnest black men who go out and get the job, who want the job, but they are not seen in that job. Then they tack on fees, dues. Then they tack on work requirements or uniforms. Then they tack on, the list is long. We are building a new school in my district. And I looked around, and I'm looking at the construction site. I am one of the people that is, and I said, whoa, where the hell these are all white men. We are literally breaking ground on a school in a black and Native American neighborhood. Y'all gotta fix this. Jimmy, my name is James. Jimmy, I said, no, I'm about to lose my bacon and my bits. So let's talk about how you avoided this. How was this avoided? And the words, well, we don't lean into them. We have our people. And these people go from this job to this job to this job. And I've seen it in cities, and I've worked with cities from Seattle, and working with the reparation movement from California to Oregon to Seattle. Part of that is to look into the systemic issues and things when we look at building. People don't see us in those jobs, so they don't put us in those jobs. Then there's a concerted effort over the last 40 years to take trade out of school. So trade isn't in school. So when we say, we go and get a job, we have been relegated to very specific jobs because people don't see us in those jobs, and they've never seen us in those jobs, and they continue to not see us in those jobs. And I understand, doing the movement and so on. Well, we got 12 new black workers at the job that has, and I'm going to quote, 117 people. That's what we could find. I felt good about it, but not good enough. So roughly, 10%. And we asked, did you know about it? And 5 of them said, yes, we did know about it. We wanted to be on the project, and we saw their paper to bring it forward. We have a thing where across America, when we talk about blackness, we have been kept out and we will continue to be kept out. When you have a major organization such as Microsoft, you can Google it, who says, I don't see black people as a part of our workforce. Google that. When you have Amazon, who has us on the floor working, but we're not in supervisory roles, even though we've been there, and people who have aspired to be. Black men particularly, we are not seen in those roles, so we don't get put in those roles. And that is to say, I do believe that many people do get discouraged. I don't like hearing, oh, you have to go get a job. I don't, at my 55 years, to understand that, because I know the soul-crushing effect that many people have been relegated to. When we talk about homelessness, the main part of it, when you have a low-wage job, even though you have skills, I have a friend, Tim, he struggles to find a job. And he's in the animation field. He struggles to find a job. And we talk about it all the time. People don't see us in those jobs, and we are kept from those jobs. And then our education system keeps us from those jobs, or having the exposure to the jobs, union work, and so on. And then homelessness happens because our rent goes up, but our wages stay low because we are in low-paying jobs. I don't believe that anybody aspires to be, I shouldn't say anybody because that would be an absolute. I can't speak in absolute. I know that many people aspire for more work. I know nurses, for example. I have a whole cadre of nurses, many black and so on, that they don't get moved up. And then they talk about it. We made a whole article here in the Seattle Times at the Children's Hospital, and you can Google that, about how the stagnation of black employees. And liberal Seattle, they can't even move the needle, and we're barely 7% of the population here, let alone 51. That just scared the shit out of them. We are not having our wages increase. And yes, I will only take the point that yes, we must always be activists. And I think many people are trying to be activists, and finding those ways in can be very difficult. But I do believe that people are trying to be more and more active. Definitely this young crowd. I'm 55, and I'm very proud of some of the efforts that I see in here. I see your hands up, so I will stop. Thank you all so much.
All right. Let me go ahead and say real quick. Let me give a shout out to Black Copper Show for their contribution on Cash App. Guys, up in the Jumbotron, I have the Newstoter YouTube channel. It is in the middle. It is in the middle. So please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel while the actual space is going on. You can listen to the space and also subscribe to the channel. For those that can support us on Cash App and make a donation, we definitely appreciate that. Any amount is appreciated, whether it's $1 or $2, we definitely appreciate it. That is $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest and the best news curation platform in Black America today. Once again, Newstoter is the best curation platform in Black America, Black-owned news curation platform in America today. For those that do not have Cash App, you can support us on Venmo or PayPal. That's up in the Jumbotron. For those in YouTube land, that's in the actual description link as well. So once again, that is $Newstoter. Let me go ahead and kick it to Miss Giselle, and then I'm going to get to you, Dana.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in because what I'm hearing, and I just started looking at the map. I always go back in the past, and I always tell us, our people, look at each flavor, because where you see a symptom.
Miss Giselle, we can get you up a little bit louder if possible.
Yes, hold on 1 second. Let me pull you up.
Just let me know whenever you're ready, Miss Giselle.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can definitely hear you better now. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So what I keep telling all of our people is when you see one area of like confusion or like just an area of confusion or a symptom of a problem, that's where you know there's probably like a tactic of white supremacy at play, right? So when I'm listening to everybody and they're speaking, I get it. When I actually heard both sides, but Dana's like, well, they don't want the jobs, or this, that, and the other. Let me tell you, this is how they herd us into positions. I don't actually think that people don't want the jobs. I think they're so used to hurting us. We have gone with the flow. When they said, "Hey, go into the workforce and work for the corporate America," let go of that mom and pop shop. That's the old way. People did it because they followed it. They were herded into those positions. They were overcharged for their products in the stores. They were getting fines up the yin yang from the city. It's all of these different ingredients to push them into the direction that they want them to go to. So as far as careers in trade schools, we started noticing, it's trade schools out here, but those trade schools cost a lot of money nowadays. People don't have $10,000 to go into the pocket. If you got one slight criminal anything on your record, you can't even get any government assistance for schooling, whether you want to go to community college or whether you want to go to a trade school. That's why they try to book our black men with crimes. Like they try to. Let me tell you, my son has never had anything on his record. An incident. Sorry for that noise, guys. An incident happened at his school where he had to, he had to go to a cop because it was like guns involved, like people were shooting and things like that. So the police officer said, I was able to get the phone number because your son had a disorderly conduct. My son ain't never had a disorderly conduct and dealing with no police officer. And it's not, your child didn't just tell you. In real life, my son, me and my kid's father, all the way to my son got to college. Our kids wasn't anywhere or doing anything we didn't know. And if anything happened in school, we knew. They will push something on your kids that didn't even happen. We had to fight to get that off of my son. Some stuff that he didn't even do. So they do things to systematically put us in positions, or black men specifically, or boys in positions where it will cause them not to be able to make it to the next level in education. I have friends right now in the state of Maryland fighting for contracts, where up and down every single street you see Mexican crews destroying the streets because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They on dirt roads still in Mexico. How the hell are you going to come here and fix some concrete roads? That's what I say. But when you think about all of this stuff, this systematically driven things, it's a lot of these things they dictate. They tell us where the direction we need to go into. No, y'all need to go into this. See, this is the way. If you hear a lot of people talking down there like, y'all need to push y'all kids to STEM, it's the same damn conversations back in the day. Y'all need to try to, get in that basketball career in that football field. These are the same freaking conversations that happen. And it wasn't that people didn't want jobs. It's like they got a big map of the state. And they like, all right, what direction are we trying to go into now? Oh, we're trying to make money off of this, and this is the result we're trying to get. So they herd us in the direction that they want to herd us to. Career-wise, housing-wise, everything. This is not like people, and then they say you're choosing. You're not choosing. You're going to whatever direction they send you into, and then you pick whatever the hell they got left for you to pick, or whatever they designate you to pick from. And that is, we have implanted into our minds that we had all of these opportunities. When in reality, they only really blocked out about three or four opportunities for you. I feel like a lot of times we gotta remember it's a system. And we got to know, all right, so if this is the problem, where in the system did this start from? If you're talking about a hospital that was condemned, why is it that hospital was allowed to be condemned for that many years in that particular community? Because if it was a white community, it would have been, I'm sorry.
No, you got to go ahead, Miss Giselle. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody said something. Go ahead. Whoever, hey, everybody speaking, stay on your microphones too until the person is done. Go ahead, Miss Giselle.
If it was a white community, they would have revamped that building. You're not going to just have all of these condemned things. And they do this intentionally to, one, create, to draw places where people can squat. That adds to the drug trafficking and the drug addicts and the criminality. All of that stuff comes into play. And they know the recipes for all of this shit. Every single issue that we even talking about in here has a recipe that they know. And we even know. But it's like we're so conditioned not to look at the pieces to the recipe. We just automatically look at the result. The result is Black men are not in this job. The result is, well, why ain't they asking for these jobs? Like Dana said, it's good that he put out the opportunity, but it sounds like the opportunity was only put out because it's mandatory for them to put it out. So I know when it's things like in paperwork, and I'm gonna shut up after this, but like I'm in the money business. I'm in the banking industry, right? And in that industry, it's a lot of paperwork, like a whole lot of paperwork. People overlook it as important documentation because it's mandatory. Like certain things you're gonna read, other things you're gonna look past. And this is kind of like one of those things. They're like, oh yeah, that's the other part. This is the extra page that we got to make sure it's in there. That the extra page meaning, hey, Black men is a certain amount of Black people that got to be on this job. All right, put that page in here. We made sure we covered that bullet. All right, cross that T, dotted that I. That's what it seems like. And if they put out all of the jobs for them to have that opportunity, they say, hey, come out, you can get this job. If they don't have the skills, they're not going to get the job. If they have to train for that skill, it's going to take months to get that skill for a job opportunity that they're trying to fill right away. So I don't know how that will work. I'm not actually going against what you were saying, Dana, or like going against what you were saying, WPI. I just feel like we got to look at the hands, because we are like the hands. Look at who's controlling that part, and then we can figure out how to fight the beast. Because at this point, we're only fighting the after effects of the symptoms. And I'll land with that.
All right. Thank you, Miss Giselle. Let's go ahead and go to Dana, then Guardian. We'll get to you as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with Miss Giselle. We have to understand the system. The game doesn't change, but if you don't know what the game is, you're going to find yourself in the same position. Like nothing is going to improve for our community. And just so that I could correct myself, what I was referring to in Essex County was freeholders. And the freeholders in Essex County that is appointed by the Essex County Executive Director, Joe DeVicio, they're all Black. And I've been to a freeholder meeting. And there's two things I observed there, right, was that people coming in bidding on contracts, whether they had a construction company to pave the roads or to build something, and they were granted approved contracts like they were giving out Halloween candy. The second thing I noticed is that all those people that were bidding on those contracts were out of not only Newark, but out of Essex County. And third, all those people bidding on those contracts, particularly for Newark and the other surrounding areas and urban areas, there were no Black-owned businesses. One of the main things is we do have to move from being employees to employers. We need more Black-owned businesses getting these contracts. They did have a couple of Black contractors that did develop a lot of buildings, particularly in Newark around Lincoln Park. But it's not enough of us to where, going back to Ms. Giselle, we're talking about a system that has been put in place for decades. And right now, especially with Black people, we're just really coming out that fall of the 80s and the 90s that destroyed our neighborhoods and our families. We're coming out of that fall and really starting from scratch. But if you don't know the system, if you don't know how this game is played, only thing you're going to do is just complain and keep going to white supremacy. You're never going to get ahead. And that's all I'm saying. And another thing, and I'm going to include myself, particularly in Baltimore. I remember those row houses with dirt cheap. Now they're expensive as hell. And around the DMV area, I think that still holds the largest population of Black people. So when she said there are a whole bunch of Black people fighting over contracts, the difference is when you go up to North, you don't see a lot of Black people fighting for contracts. But if you saw Black people fighting for contracts and being denied, that's a problem. But the problem that's happening in New Jersey, there are not enough Black people fighting for those contracts. So you can't say it's discrimination if we're not there in the room fighting for our piece of the pie. But where was the Black people, particularly in Harlem, buying up the brownstones that the city was selling for $1? We were not paying attention. And that's what I mean, going back to accountability. People got to understand, when you look at urban areas that people want to call shitholes, that's a gold mine. It's money and garbage. The way they turn Baltimore and continue to turn Baltimore around. But who's benefiting from it? When we're in the middle of a generational wealth transfer, and we're talking about gentrification is just Gen X's receiving that wealth transfer, and they have the money to buy up these properties that's going to benefit them. So it's a lot of factors, and I just, it is about knowing the system and knowing how this game is played.
If I may, Guardian, I appreciate it.
Hold on, real quick.
When we talk about,
hold on, real quick. I don't know if that's true words speaking or not, but let me go ahead and let's go ahead and keep the order. Let me go ahead and get the Guardian, because Guardian's waiting. And true words, I'll come right back to you as well too. So let me go ahead and get the Guardian, and then I'll get to you, true words. Go ahead, Guardian.
Okay. Hi, Dana, and hi, everyone. Basically, I'm also in Baltimore, okay? And so here's the pattern that I just want to first of all point out that, the way racism operates, right? Systematic racism. In order for it to survive, some Black people have to be successful, okay? So that means there is this bottleneck, right? That's created by all of these rules and diversions and so on, that reduce the amount of people, Black people, can get through. All right. Sometimes if you don't see the people applying for the contracts, they know what the requirements are, and the requirements are generally too high, right? So that way it gets preferentially distributed to all these other people. So that's probably why you don't see Black people applying for these contracts. But let me share with you all the pattern that is happening in the Black community. All right. And it happens for decades and so on, and it will continue to happen unless we make a change. It's a very simple two-step. Here's the pattern. Black people are trying to follow the rules. That's awesome, okay? The rules of government. But we know that that the rules are often tailored against us. And sometimes the rules get subverted, like someone was alluding to, where people are getting contracts under the table, often in a separate process. So we are trying to follow the rules, but the rules are being twisted around and subverted, right? Systematically, for whatever situation. The next pattern is that we discuss the problems very eloquently, all right? There's going to always be problems to discuss eloquently, but the issue is that these are systematic problems. They're not going away. The only way that I see these problems going away is if we focus on having our own system and having a system that we control. We fully control, okay? We have to control it in order to create a favorable environment for our community. For example, I'm in Baltimore and I'm trying to organize a bunch of programs to create a lot of employment and stuff like that. And then anytime I go and talk to certain people, right, in government, to get government contractors, they're telling me about federal guidelines that control almost everything. That's the reason. Okay, so what I'm saying, for example, when I say create a favorable environment, let me give you some history, right? Y'all probably know about this. In the 1950s and 60s, America took approximately the equivalent of $1 trillion and built out all the suburbs for white Americans across America. The houses, the white people were exclusively allowed to purchase those houses. The houses were cheap enough for both black and white people to easily afford, but it was exclusively only available for white Americans. And black people were relegated to, the inner cities and the housing projects. The situation was such that the rent that they had to pay for housing project was higher than the cost of the mortgage, right? That white people were paying for all those suburban homes, okay? So that's how you create opportunities. Y'all know about the Homestead Act. Y'all know about many situations where they just gave massive just opportunities. Now we're trying to scrape and meet all kinds of requirements and have this amount of budget and be proof that we can do the contract and all these different requirements. We need to actually control the whole freaking system. You understand? So that we create rules and laws for our communities that are favorable to creating opportunities instead of trying to fit into their little thing. All right? People talk about organizing, doing protests, and so on. All that protesting doesn't mean anything unless we're controlling systems, all right? So federal government has a whole bunch of requirements, right, that people in city and government are trying to follow and abide by very, very carefully. And so when I call in and I try to do this, that, it's block, block, block. Why? Federal guideline, federal regulations, okay? So what I'm saying is that now we could turn this whole, okay, so when I talk about creating our own system, we need to control those processes, right? Just control it, right? One way to create a situation where we can have work opportunities for our young people and so on across the nation is this. Well, my idea, right, is to write a bill so that the mayor will enact what do you call it, eminent domain to secure 200 acres of land over here. Over here in Baltimore, you'd be surprised to find out how much space there is. So with that 200 acres, right, our people can sort of build a new community and just be involved in the architecture and stuff and so on. And, pull it out a little bit outside of the system of capitalism when it comes to real estate. That's the idea I am trying to do right here in Baltimore and demonstrate that this is a beautiful way to redirect the kids who are doing all the street crime and so on to the business of real estate, right? Designing, development, work, you understand, work, sweat equity, where they get to own, be part owner of things based on their sweat equity. I believe that those are the steps that are needed to solve our epidemic of violence this city and across other cities as well. I go to the juvenile detention centers and the kids like the idea. They're involved. You understand what I'm saying? So I would, the way I dream of it, I would love to see our communities get the mayors to enact eminent domain, right, to secure hundreds or thousands of acres, right? Because you know that 14, maybe 40 million were stolen from Black America, or 14 million. Garrity says 40 million, but basically these are ways that we can control our environment. We have to create this environment, right? Control these regulations and don't let people dictate to us. Don't let people make us have to squeeze into these regulation and that regulation. Instead, just wipe all of that stuff clean and create all the rules and regulations so the system is favorable for us, just like it was favorable for the white folk with the Homestead Act and the building out of the suburbs. I hope you all understand. So I'm hoping that we can break this cycle, right, of just simply following rules that are designed against us and that are being subverted on a regular basis. I'm hoping we stop this pattern of just going down to City Hall and complaining about this, complaining about that. I'm hoping that we focus on creating systems, controlling the system, and creating a very favorable environment for our people to thrive. Okay? That's it.
All right. Thank you, Guardian. Let me say this real quick before I get to Dana. we see, and we've had numerous spaces on it when we're talking about the amount of money that this country is spending on illegal migrants or illegals, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to classify them as. Um, we also know that there's a bunch of white folks living out there that's homeless, a bunch of Hispanics living out there that's homeless. We see the numbers with the black people, how disproportionately impacted black folks are. We see the amount of money that's being spent putting migrants in hotels. Like, and I spoke earlier about because we did a space on that on Manhattan that they're spending money putting them in 5-star hotels, almost $1,000 a night. We see the town we see over there in Chicago. We see these sanctuary cities and everything else. We see the health care they're getting. We see people coming that's not even citizens of this country talking about that they can be the police on the police force. They can get driver's license. They can get this. That people trying in certain cities trying to get them to be able to vote and this and that or whatever. There is no way, shape, and form that the amount of black people that's living out there that's homeless is totally all their fault. That's not to say that some people don't have mental issues and may not be drug addicts, and some people just may want to be, but the vast majority of these people out there need help. This country is spending billions of dollars bringing illegals in here, housing them, uh, giving them shelter, giving them food, clothing them. We saw Stacey Adams down there in Georgia talking about she was trying to get illegals to be able to go to college and stuff like that. So the simple fact of the matter that we're sitting up here and we're saying that, yeah, and I get everybody's talking about construction and they talking about being business and this and that or whatever. Well, most people are not going to be their own. They're not going to be in their own boss. A lot of people are going to work for a living till they die. That's just the way it is. That's in every country in the world. There's not a country that we can think of, an industrialized country where the vast majority of people are actual self-employed. That's human nature. Most people feel a sense of dependency, not even dependency, but most people feel a sense of you know, a sense of I don't know what it is, but they feel better off knowing that they got a steady check coming and they don't have to actually go out there and depend on being successful or not to feed themselves and their family. A lot of people depending on a job. If you have a government job, whether it's federal or state or local, you get insurance, you get retirement, you get everything else that people feel comfortable with. So a lot of people out there feel comfortable being able to go out there, work their 40 hours a week and be able to pay their bills. So yeah, we definitely need more black owned businesses. We definitely need black industries, but that's not going to happen for the vast majority of people, be it black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. The vast majority of people are not going to own their own business, but we do need more of that. I would agree 100%. But there's no reason to hell that the United States government can spend billions of dollars on illegals coming to this country and can house them. And like we said earlier in this space, Mayor Adams them in New York are talking about taking an old correction facility and rehabbing it and finding it as a way to go ahead and house migrants and stuff. We can do all of this. We talked last week or the week before, we talked about the actual, and you had 6 schools up there in New York that's taking the gyms, bringing migrants in there, housing them while you got students on campus. There's no reason in hell that you can send billions of dollars to Ukraine. You can send billions to Israel. You can send billions to Afghanistan. You can send billions all over the world. You can send 55 billion to Africa. You can send 50 billion here, 20 billion there, 10 billion there, 5 billion there, 1 billion there, 2 billion there. All this money, you can send billions to Central and Latin America, but you can't house your damn people here. You can't. I mean, your people, they hit a rough patch and they have to live on the damn streets. You got families sleeping out of cars. You got kids dumpster diving, eating trash. There's no reason anybody in this country that America looks at itself as the first rate, the beacon, the shining star. There's no reason that people should be homeless or hungry in this damn country except greed. And we need to go ahead and realize what it is. We throw away all kind of food. I used to tell my kids that at nighttime, like, look, be happy what you got, man. You throwing away half of this food. There's people in the world that would love to get what you're getting that you throwing away. There is no reason. We pay billions of dollars in subsidies to farmers not to farm certain things. We pay them money not to farm certain things. There's no reason in hell that anybody should be starving in this country, should be homeless in this country. And if you want to be honest, there's no reason that we shouldn't have, everybody in this country shouldn't have the bare minimum of health insurance, except greed. We can say it's capitalism and we can say it's all this other nonsense. But the fact of the matter is greed. And it's always been about greed. It's dog eat damn dog. And there's no reason that we can have people that just stepping into this country for the first time and they can sit up here and they can go to a damn 4-5 star hotel, eat, and the people that's been here working every day and everything else, an American citizen, they can't even find a damn place to live at. No reason. That's not simply because black people are lazy or black people ain't applying themselves or black people need to do more and this and that, whatever. That is a damn system we got. It's never enough in here. They want to, you're looking at all the prices of everything that's going up from rent to food to electric and everything else. And they want to keep people and they want to pay them like it's 1988 and complain and cry about it. You want to raise the income, you want to raise everything else except somebody's income. To be honest, to keep up with the pace of inflation in this country, they should be giving people a damn cost of living increase 10, 15, 20% a year. But they say, well, you're going to run small business out of it, and you're going to do this, you're going to do the same country that prints billions of dollars, just prints up money like it's going out of style. Oh, you're gonna crash small business, and small business not going to do that. The same country that they allowed during when the pandemic came and told the banks that y'all go ahead and y'all print $1 trillion a day to keep the economy afloat. $1 trillion a day. And we're sitting up here and we're saying, well, it's black people. And like I said, it's a whole lot of damn white ones on the street too. It's a whole lot of white women out there. There's a whole lot of black women out there. And all of these people, some of these people have some serious mental issues out there, drug addictions and everything else. It's simply not the fact that people are lazy and they gave up and this and that right there. There's some real hard issues why people, and it started with Ronald Reagan in the 80s, opening up these damn mental hospitals and just opening the floodgates and just kicking people out there on the streets to the point that you're at right now. No reason you should be spending tens of billions of dollars on foreign aid all over the world, spending tens of billions of dollars on people coming into this country for the first time, and you're sitting up there and you're saying, well, hey, we can house you, but we can't house the people that built this country. We can't house the people that pay taxes. That's just utterly ridiculous to me. I don't even understand. I don't care how anybody comes up here and spends it and explains it. To me, it's total BS. You got the damn money. Hold on. Nobody come off your mic. You got the money to do what you want to do. You simply don't want to do it. You're greedy as hell. You're the greediest country on the face of the goddamn earth. Simply put, you've always been greedy. The country was built on greed. It is going to be consumed by greed. You don't give a damn about your own citizens over here. You're willing to let excuse my language, you're willing to let kids starve out here and families. This is complete nonsense that we talking about. We actually justifying this nonsense? You're the richest economy in the world. You're the richest country in the history of the world. No country. You can talk about ancient Rome and Egypt and all these civilizations thousands of years ago, which have a fraction of what the United States of America has. Backed by your damn military and everything else. And this is all that we can do. I mean, please, get out of here with this shit. Excuse me. Dana, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, so I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. However, we also got to understand, again, how this system operates. And just looking at it from, let's just go to a micro observation. Everybody is operating within their group. So when we're talking about business owners, no, everybody are not going to be entrepreneurs or business owners. But the business owners are the ones that's going to hire hundreds of people. But what I'm seeing on a micro level, especially in urban cities, these business owners are hiring their own people within their group. That's what everyone is doing. That is how you get ahead in this country. Yes, this country is built on greed. It is built on a moral basis, all that. But this is America. The Constitution was to protect the states, not the citizens. So again, if we know how to work the system, and I do have to agree with Guardian, we should know we have to create our own system, because every group, the Asians, the Hispanics, of course, white people, Black immigrants, they are working within their own group. That is how you get ahead. looking out for your own group. And that is what I'm saying. We have to start looking out for our own group. Who has the power? Because whoever has the power control the resources. Hispanics are gaining power, especially in North New Jersey. When Ross Baraka, when he leave office, you know it's going to be a Hispanic mayor, and that's game over for Black people in North. Forget about it because they already gunning and collecting power outside of City Hall. They already had economic power because everybody is operating in a collective except for Black Americans. So that is the purpose, is to gain power within your group. And if you're not doing that, and if you're not creating your own system for your group, organizing with your group, I'm not talking protest. I don't protest. Protest is only one aspect of it, and that's a small aspect. You need to make sure you have somebody in City Hall or somebody sitting at the table so you could be countering the two. But if you're not organizing politically, socially, economically, if we're and solely focusing on your group, we're never going to get ahead. You can't blame white supremacy. What you need to do is understand this system, yes, which is white supremacy, and how can we benefit from it. There are millions and millions and millions of dollars of funding, state and federal. You won't even believe the grants that are out there that is just sitting there. But if you don't know how to properly file for a grant, how to allocate it, what are you using it for? If you're not educated or educating ourselves in that part of it, in the business and knowing the system, again, you're going to get left behind. Illegals that are coming over here, they're not weak, they're not incompetent. A lot of them have $10,000 because that's what they had to pay for someone that helped carry their ass over up to the damn border. So again, but they're coming here, linking up with their group in these sanctuary cities. And as for going back to our government and what they're doing with the money, we gotta understand where we're at now did come out of this COVID situation. But what did Black people do? They're sat up there and you're being voting with your emotions, being led with collard greens and cornbread with bullshit. And this is what I'm saying, taking accountability. Look at how you're voting. Look at how you're not voting. Why are we sticking to one party and not having several parties? Why are we focused just on voting when we need to start working within our group and start looking at the economics? So if we're not gaining power, then we're not going to control none of the resources that is available. And there's a lot of money out there. So I agree with what Guardian and Giselle what they're doing, because it's a lot of shit that's going on down in Baltimore and the DMV area, and just Black people that are in pockets everywhere. We do have to start looking out for ourselves, because this wave of these illegals that are coming in here, they are linking up with their group, and it's making their group more stronger and powerful. So I'm gonna just yield for now.
Newstoter, before you go again.
Yeah.
Hey man, can we bring that border jumper up that I see down at the bottom right there?
Border jumper. Who is border jumper?
Border jumper up in here, man. Right there, Roberto Leon.
Roberto Leon.
Yeah, you don't see him
okay.
Down there at the bottom?
Yeah, I see him. What about him?
Yeah, I think he's one of them, man. See if we can get him to come up.
Nah, man. Let anybody that wants to come up, they can go ahead and request to come up, man. We let's just keep it in the order. If somebody wants to speak, y'all know how we do in the space. They'll go ahead and request to come on up here and speak as well too.
I just thought he might want to tell us how he jumped over the border. That's all.
Come on now, let's not insult the cat. Now let's not do that, y'all. Let me go ahead and get to Guardian. I know you had your hand up. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yes, sir. So basically, I appreciate definitely what everybody's saying. What you were saying is that, the government does bad things and stuff like that, and they will continue to do those things. I mean, there's this problem with the immigration. It looks like they're really trying to pull in your replacements. You understand what I'm saying? They're really doing some amazing things for illegal immigrants, right? And by a large number, they already have a lot of them here. So what I'm trying to say is that there will always be things that we can complain about, right? Based on what they are doing. Okay, but what we really need to focus our efforts on is creating things that we control. All right. For example, if somebody wants to even use the political process, right? Well, then figure out how to use the political process to stop all those federal regulations and federal mandates of cities. You understand? Like let's say I wanted to start some sort of food business, right? And I want to get a contract with the public schools, right? They're going to require me to have all this money and show all this budget and all this back history and stuff like that, instead of just organizing it from the beginning to create an opportunity for a community, right? So the federal government is the thing, the federal regulations is the thing that's controlling a lot of what the city does, and they control us. We try to fit into it and we struggle, right? So we have to focus on getting that power, right? And when it comes to construction sites, like I said, let me say one more time, I would like to encourage everybody, right, to put together a bill, right, get the mayor to enact eminent domain, right, secure properties. We need to reclaim those properties that were stolen, right, by hundreds and thousands of acres. And then once you get that, there's places where you can go rightful that money, right? To like Don Peebles, for example, he has a program called the $1 billion fund to help Black Americans, Black people, to build in America. All right. So, but this is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, let's do things where we control the system. Let's get our own huge spaces. Let's get our funding through our people. Let's get our influencers to promote our businesses. Let's create our own new spaces so that we can control our destiny. Last statement. In the past, right, Black people just looked for government to create jobs and stuff like that. Instead, government created social policy to separate families. Government created mass incarceration schemes and things like that. Government hasn't exactly changed, okay? So since we know that, the wisdom that we should have now is to realize that we must create, coordinate, and control our economy for the benefit of our young people. All right? I'll just blend like that. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Miss Giselle. Miss Giselle, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, thank you for that. Guardian, I was checking out your website. Are you FBA? Black American Free? It sounds like you're from the island. That's why. You from the island, Guardian? Hello. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. I think there's something wrong with his microphone because it's not working.
Yeah, I don't. He may not be able to hear you, but you got it, Miss Giselle.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I think you're from the island. His voice sounds like the islands. But in Baltimore, absolutely, one thing that's powerful here, we have some.
You kind of a little bit low again, Miss Giselle.
Okay, it's because I'm talking to my car. Hold on one second. Let me just. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. Yeah, so what is good here is that in the state of Maryland, we have a lot of strong Black communities that still stand. The issue is the herding process, because everyone kind of goes into the direction with the waves. So, and even with the trade school, it's like, and the waves isn't only like the neighborhoods that you live in, the careers that you go to. It also starts with the schools. So one thing that they do in a lot of our communities is like the trade schools. They have our children fighting to get into these trade schools, and only a handful of them are selected. And a lot of times it's not always academic. Sometimes it's because their parents had the opportunity to go to the schools. But needless to say, our kids are fighting for opportunities that white kids can get just period. Like say you get to pick and choose whichever career you want to go into without creating some type of scarcity for the opportunity. Our kids and our adults are forced into those positions, and that is what causes so I'll settle for that, which is an unfortunate thing that happens in our communities. But I believe in what Guardian was saying with creating the business platform ourselves. We do that here. Like I come from a family full of business owners. Like everybody, like from when I was a kid, my grandmother was a nurse, a registered nurse, and my mother was a nurse. My great grandmother was a nurse. Her mama was a midwife. We come from that. And like with my father, owned shops, gas stations. Like these are things that they did. They didn't come from. They were born into that. They kind of like went to school, or like my grandmother made sure they went to school and stuff like that. But everybody don't get that type of opportunity. And fortunately, this is the gridlock. We can get to the people in the communities, but if there's no the funding isn't there to pay for the schooling, then it's not going to happen. And what I mean by that is some of these people that we're presenting these opportunities to, they got criminal records. If it be something small like assault, or it could be anything. So weed charges. They don't have the opportunity to get into these types of, the trade schools and stuff, or get funding for it. So then at that point, all right, they made one mistake, but now they blocked out of another. In that case, it sounds like we probably need to develop a fund, a collective fund. But this is the whole reason why we're fighting for reparations, so that regardless of that, your past, like at this point, we'll have some money to stand on to make these opportunities possible. Like because it's like that is a big thing in our community. If we can get our people to the careers, that's great. We can get them there. But a lot of these people, when we get there, the problem is the money. Like that's what's holding everybody back. Everybody would probably go to college if they knew that they didn't have to worry about a bill, or if they knew that they could get funding for it. Like, or probably not just college, or even trade schools. They would probably go to a trade school if they knew they had access to the funds. I just feel like we can, if we can talk about this and talk about it, but every single time, like even when it's a window, they create like a barrier over the damn window. So it was something else that I wanted to say, but I think I kind of forgot that part. But regardless, it seems like we do have a major issue with the blocks, and people kind of stop at the blocks. Now, this is the part. We are knowledgeable of these weapons against us in our communities, but a lot of our people in the communities are just going and going and going. They just existing. People are not focused on the, all right, what's going on with the schools? They're like, shoot, what just happened in the neighborhood yesterday? All this violence, or here we got stores moving out, or they didn't block this out. It's like we have so many things going on. A lot of these areas get overlooked because there's so many other things that we either directed to focus on, or we're focusing on for safety purposes in our communities. So it's kind of hard. I don't even knock a lot of the things that our people miss in our communities, because we're the only group that have barriers to get to the goal line. Like all of these groups, when they get here, they can go with their sector because they're filtered to that direction. Like without people, it's like our people get together and it's either somebody's doing something, some type of level of criminality wrapped up in it, or the funding is blocked, or the program is not going to. It's like something happens or like somebody come in from the system and mess it up, and then we got to start all over again. We're the only group that's forced to start all over again. And then we kind of blame ourselves for having to start all over again. Like, dang, you should have thought of that. Like, damn, we thinking of every goddamn thing else. It's hard to think of everything at one time. And this is why we always say all hands on deck. Whatever you're good at, do that. Because it's so many attacks at us going at us at one time. It's hard to really focus. It's hard to focus on one issue. It is. Because we'll focus on that one and they got 10 other things that's attacking us. So, I don't know. And I know that our people can do things. We got outliers. We got people that can become rich and famous. And it is true. They have to have some level of us that make money and come out of the system on top, because otherwise it'll show they got to be some oppression here. They got to be something wrong here. It's going to cause people to have to look at the situation. Creates too much collateral damage, so they create different levels to us. And then those people that make it, they're like, well, you should be able to make it too. A lot of these people out in the street, it's hard as hell to make it. And it is 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out the door. One mistake, one mischeck, people are outside of the street. One mischeck, and that's a lot of people. So it's kind of hard to stay focused when you got so many attacks coming at you. So I'll leave it at
All right. Thank you, Miss Giselle. Let me say, guys, we got one person to subscribe to the YouTube channel tonight. We're trying to get at least, always trying to get at least 3-4 people to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's in the actual Jumbotron. That's a third on the right-hand side. The third on the right-hand side. For any of you guys that have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe to it. We're trying to grow that YouTube channel out. My throat is just really been scratchy tonight as well too, so I'm trying to drink something to try to help it out as much as possible. Yeah, we need some subscriptions to the YouTube channel tonight. We haven't had anybody to subscribe tonight. Excuse me, y'all. So for those that can, please go ahead and subscribe. And for those that can support the platform, the largest Black curation platform of news today in America, Newstoter.com. Please go ahead and, if you can, donate on Cash App. If you have $1 that you'd like to donate to tonight's program, that is $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Like I say, we know situations is tight with money and whatnot, so we do not ask a lot from our people. But for those that can donate, it is greatly appreciated. Once again, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For those that have a PayPal or Venmo, that's up in the Jumbotron as well too. Let me go ahead real quick and get to Dana, and then I'm gonna get to you, Stephanie, as well too.
Yeah, real quick, Newstoter. I told you if you want to get more subscribers, you got to do uploads. Uploads bring more subscribers. Not so much with the lives, but anyway, yeah, just to. I think this is a very informative space, and just Twitter space is not so much for us to get solutions, but definitely to network or to come up with ideas. And, I think this space is doing that tonight. I think we also need to keep in mind where we're at, because what Giselle and Guardian was saying, they're both out of the DMV area, which is highly populated with a lot of Black people, as opposed to you go to tri-state area, it's very, very, very diverse with you can say quote unquote people of color. But for instance, when it comes to, just for example, with the trades, that you're right. A lot of people don't have money to go to school, and you're worried about that, and you just want to work, and you need to pay your bills, and you need to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. But for instance, my brother, he's up in Boston. I didn't know about this till recently. I do know he started a program, got grants from the state and federal government for free trade training. And my father claims he told my son that he could go to Boston, and whether you want to be a plumber or electrician or whatever. But it was free. But it was a program that my brother and a couple of his other friends and colleagues created, submitted a proposal plan to the city, and they got funding. It is money out there. It is creating a team, and like Giselle, just focusing on one thing that you're good at to make things happen. With that, coming out of that program, whether you stay in Boston or you can go to any other state and get employed, because now you have that trade, right? Whether you're part of a union or not. But I think another thing, specifically talking about Black Americans, because that's what I focus on. I'm not worried about any other group. And I think we need to stop talking about other groups or races of people, whether it's the negative or the positive. We need financial education. It's not going to be taught in school, so don't push for that. But that's something that, again, another idea we could create where we live at, for our community, young, old, it doesn't matter. We are not financially literate. And this is why I'm saying that taking accountability for ourselves is nothing. If I would have known, because I was an adult in my 20s when they were selling the brownstones in Harlem for $1. But if I wasn't brought up with sound financial education in my home, I can admit that, and there's nothing wrong to admit our shortcomings. Now you look at Harlem, it's not even black. They're not even calling it Harlem. They're calling it Northern Manhattan. What the hell is that? So it's the same with Brooklyn, the same with North, the same with Baltimore. So now when we talk about gentrification is just a transfer of wealth of white people who got their inheritance and they're able to buy whatever the hell they want to buy wherever. Seattle, I don't know when the hell they got on the map, but Seattle was popping, which is why it's so damn expensive. But who can afford to live there? So it was, I didn't know it was black people there, but if it was before, it damn sure ain't there now. So we need to take accountability for our financial education, working together collectively, organizing politically, socially, economically. That's what I mean by us taking accountability. I'm tired of hearing about the white supremacy, honey. I'm tired of hearing about that talk. Well, if we want to talk about white supremacy, let's talk about how the system works and how to create our own system so that we could thrive. Because Hispanics got to do with white supremacy too. That's why we do have a border that exists, because that was white supremacy. But those assholes aren't complaining. The illegals are coming to New York talking about something they're going to fucking sue, and they're not even citizens here. Excuse me for cursing. So people are not using white supremacy as an excuse or complaining about it. They're educating themselves on how it works so that they can work to combat it so that their group can thrive. So that's what I'm saying with accountability. And I take accountability for my shortcomings as well. But great space tonight, Newstoter.
Thank you, Dana. I appreciate that. Like I said, my throat kind of got a little bit of dry, kind of a little raspy, but definitely appreciate that. Let me give a shout out also to Roberto. Roberto, thank you for your contribution on Venmo. Let me go ahead and get to I want to get to you, Stephanie, so we're gonna get to you. My man Trenton is up here, so shout out to Trenton. And Jeff, I never seen you before, and I'm gonna be looking. Yeah.
I was gonna tell you, I just got a DM that somebody named Carlos is supposed to be coming up. Another Carlos, not the Carlos we know.
Oh, okay. Well, like I say, as always, everybody knows when you come up in the space, just go ahead and request a microphone, and we'll get it to you. So, go ahead, Stephanie. How you doing tonight?
How you doing? I'm gonna be quick. I can't really talk right now because I'm at work, but I just wanted to say that the guy Carlos Oriano, he's the one that blew the whistle on the hotel in New York City. So I don't know if you want to hear him talk or let him give his story on what happened with the illegals in the hotels.
I just sent him the mic. I just sent it to him. I think he accept it.
I don't see him up here yet.
Let me try it again.
But he gets a chance, he can come up here. Stephanie, that's all you want to say tonight?
I had some other stuff to say because it's a lot of stuff happening, but I'm going to let everybody finish because I'm at work.
Okay, man, we can come back up and you get a chance. Trenton, go ahead. How you doing tonight?
How you doing, brother? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Hey, just early with the conversation about the legals coming over here, and it's just smacking black folks' face, man. That that people just come over here and they just drop 3 hours and struggling, and you look at it, and the only thing they tell us that they can't do nothing for us, but overnight they come up with money to house these illegal immigrants. And but this whole thing about financial literacy, hell, these legal immigrants need financial literacy. They don't. So this whole thing that we don't know how to control money, that's people just keep saying that, like we don't get the money and blow it on Nikes and Gucci's and all this nonsense. That's just the same thing can be said about them. They escaping their country to come over here to get their true freeload. So, man, the whole thing about financial literacy that we gonna get money and we don't know how to get money, that's just a bull-faced lie, man. Peace.
All right. Thank you, Trenton. Appreciate you coming up. Dana, I see you got your hand back up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I need to push back on what Trenton said, because when I'm talking about financial literacy, and I'm sorry, I got to curse, Newstoter. I got to curse. I don't give a fuck about the illegals. Who cares what they know or don't know? That's what I'm talking about. We should not care what they know and don't know. Yes, it's a problem with them coming over here. Yes, every single city hall meeting, council meeting, black people need to storm those meetings and raise hell. But at the same time, when I say financial literacy, no, we are not taught that. Let's just keep it 100. And when I'm saying as far as financial literacy, I'm talking about investing. I'm talking about, okay, if you buy a home, how do you use that home for other investments? How are we gaining economic empowerment where we live at? I'm talking about that finance. I'm not talking about if you get a reparations check and what you plan on spending it on. I don't give a damn. You do what you want to do with your money, but we should know how to save and invest our money. We should know if we do start a business, whether it's a side hustle or a full-fledged, full-time business or whatever, how are we going to manage it? Money management. Black people know we do fall behind when it comes to financial management. But again, stop talking about what the fuck the illegals know. How is that helping us? I don't care if they know. They do know a little bit of finance, and if they don't, they know they could go to their group of people that's already here legally and attach themselves to them that are economically empowered. So I'm talking about economic empowerment. How do we get it? How do we maintain it? And how do we increase it? That's it for now.
All right. Thank you. Let me go ahead.
Are you sure, Dana? Are you sure for now? Come on back up here now whenever you're ready.
Let me go ahead and get to daughter Zion, and I'm gonna get to you, Sister Sean. You got it.
Thanks for the invite up to the space. Enjoying listening to what I'm hearing. I think. I know it's been a while. I haven't been on the stage, but did your original title have reparations in it? I was trying to think.
No, not tonight. Not tonight.
Oh, okay. All right. It's just that sometimes it seems like titles, I don't know. Sometimes it brings out everybody. I'm just not sure about if I like what I'm hearing, though, tonight. Some of the words, because those words, that's not good. When you're talking about black people are not financial literate. When you talk about white supremacy is not the problem. When you say certain words, that no, you can't just say all black people are not financial literate. That's dangerous. And yes, white supremacy is a problem. And you know what? If we had businesses to hire our own, I suppose that a lot of us would. It's just a lot of people aren't there. And unless you are getting hired, or unless you are the boss, then you need someone to hire you. You can't force people to hire you, but it's called discrimination, and it happens. And people don't get hired because people are discriminating against you. And a lot of us don't have control over that, but it does happen. We can't make it not happen. It exists. And I hear everything that's being said tonight. Yeah, it would be great if in a perfect world, if we were all, one together here, working together. But, there's a lot of reasons why we aren't. And I'm not saying that wouldn't work. It would in a perfect world. Yeah, maybe hopefully we are moving in that direction. But to just say things like that I've heard that before. How do you just come? You can't do those kind of things in this day and time when we're fighting for reparations here, talking about black people are not financially literate. That is the worst possible thing you can say on a stage. And I'll land and listen. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, daughter Zion. Let me go ahead and get to Sister Sean. Sister Sean, I know I'm getting DMs, people saying that the other Carlos is in here. I don't see him. Carlos, if you want to speak, then you can come on up here and speak, but I don't see you up in here. So if you want to get a chance to come up here and speak, go ahead and request the microphone. You got it, Sister Sean.
I'll keep a lookout for him, Toad. I've been trying to find him.
Okay, thank you, Newstoter, for allowing me to speak. I just want to say I hear everything about the illegals. I'm
100% on their bumper. Because the illegals are coming here getting our bag. They're getting what is equivalent that could be, if you want to call it reparations. But when you talk about getting somebody $7,000 a month, and once you start analyzing the analytics and the financials, what they're being given for free, then you'll really understand that's the money that this government could have been reinvesting into its existing population, and especially this population that has had a horrific history of being under marginalized and sabotaged. So yes, I care all about that, because that is my bank account, that is my grandmother's bank account, that is my mother's bank account, and my father's bank account, and it goes straight for you guys too. Half the time, statistically, we don't even live long enough to collect a Social Security check. So all that money, I worked my 30 years, my mom worked her 20 years, your grandmama probably worked her 30 years. All that accumulated money is going to these people. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And especially if you're dying in your 70s, you're not even eligible to collect Social Security at 62. We're dying before age 70. So that's number one. And it was something else very important. Oh, come on, Sean, get your mind right. It was I want to get another thing. The reason why the illegals are important to me is people don't understand. They come here, they ditch their IDs, and they come off with a clean slate. And when I say a clean slate, that means their credit scores. See, if we turn around and twist in our head, well, how the hell did they do this and do that? They're coming in automatically with a 600, at least a 650 to 700 credit score, because no credit is good credit, because they have zero credit. I'm going to give you a very first-hand testimony. I'm literally selling a house as we speak tonight. And there's a person, they're not a citizen, but they're on one of these temporary visas or whatever. They don't really make a lot of money, but they went out to get what you call pre-approved for a home loan in the district. And that immigrant, he's not a citizen. He's here on a work visa. He got approved for $400,000. The average black man or woman, depending on how much you make or whatever, if your credit, this person is not even, they're not a citizen. And they're getting approved by a bank for $400,000. So don't you think that them dumping them IDs, they're given a clean slate when we're being penalized over and over and over again, whatever our credit history, and we're not getting the loans to be able to purchase the real estate. And so I think what they're really saying is what we really need to do is practice what you call group economics. We need to get in there. We can't afford it on our own. We just can't. We hit the racism. And there's still some redlining going on, folks. But we have to practice group economics. It's not that we're stupid. We're not financially literate. But we are getting backdoor bamboozled, right? So in order for us to do it, we need at least two, or operate as a group, three, get together and buy this one house and make them be the renters. But that really blew my mind. And that's what's going down from the financial piece, where we could step in that easy. We got discriminated with banks. We got redline. We got all that stuff. They walking right in here and getting these loans. So that's the difference. And that's a hurdle that we still have to jump, because we're still getting penalized, and we got these newcomers coming in here with only an EIN and getting approved for $400,000. And on my soul, this is testimony. And I had to tell him, you ain't got enough money. So I'm glad that I was in a position in my life to tell you that ain't enough, because you need at least $700 to buy my house that I'm about to sell anyway, and that's a rental property. But see, this is what we got to do. And I went in early back in the day. I think somebody was saying when them homes was going for all that in D.C., I was the one that went in, and I did have the wherewithal and the vision. Unfortunately, it was a lot of people. I told them, come with me, come with me. All I could do was buy what I could buy in my little bit of whatever bank that I was coming in. But I'm going to tell you, those same houses right there, I got in early. Nobody wanted to listen. They didn't want to listen. And yeah, that is partially, that's a dysfunction right there. But what we do need to do is just practice the group economics and don't think, and we do have to watch these illegals because that's our money. I'm always going to be watching them. As a matter of fact, I'm going after the government right now. I want to reverse sanctuary city status and redirect all that money back into the community. We're finding out in Chicago, they're literally taking COVID funds to sustain these people, and you have citizens right there in Chicago still suffering from COVID that lost their damn businesses and didn't get a damn PPP loan because the statistics came out that the Black community received less than 2% of PPP loans. So these white folks that went all the way with all the PPP loans. If you don't have somebody to invest in you to do anything, you're stagnant, you can do nothing. And so the white people are getting the PPP loans and the damn illegals is getting the darn home loans. So you can't financial literacy your way out of that. That's systematic racism. What we got to do is start practicing group economics and stay on these people bumper, vote their ass out of office, and no, I want my damn money. You don't take no COVID money and give it to no damn illegal. Illegals is very much my damn business. We got the Black farmers sitting up here still trying to get their damn COVID funds. It was a Latino and a white man that blocked the damn Black farmers from their COVID funds. Oh, hell yeah, the illegals is all up in my mind. And I'm laying right there. And I'm staying on a bumper, too.
All right. Let me go ahead. I'm going to go to Dana, then I'm going to go to Miss T, and I'm going to go Councilman Brian.
I think my hand was up first, Newstoter.
No, it wasn't.
No, Dana hand was first, and then yours was next, Miss T.
At one point, it was just me and Sean, but that's okay.
So my hand came out right after, I think it was daughter was talking.
Go ahead, Dana.
Because my point that I'm going to be pushing back a little bit on sister, because you kind of contradict yourself a little bit. But with daughter, first of all, I didn't say all Black people. I said a collective. That's the difference. And that is the problem with Black people. We do operate on an individual level. Because sister, like you said, in DC, at a time when we should have been buying real estate, you went and bought as much as you can. But the people around you, they weren't doing it for whatever the reason is. But when we're talking about group economics, group economics is financial literacy. The realest thing you could ever say is that we have a financial problem. That is understanding finance literacy. So to admit that we have shortcomings, it's nothing wrong for Black people to admit we have shortcomings. Can you tell me about tax codes? Can you tell me how to create a trust? How to maintain a trust? How to create a will? Black people have a problem not having wills. How to gain or get a profitable life insurance? We don't fall short in those departments. That's part of financial literacy. I'm not.
Hey, Dana, you there? Hey, Dana, can you hear me? I think you must have lost reception, Dana. Hey, Dana, can you hear me? Dana, drop down and come back up because you must have lost connection. Professor, can you hear me all right? Hey, Professor, can you hear me? I don't know if the room done froze or not. Sister Sean, can you hear me? Yikes. I think the room has frozen. Hey, Miss T, anybody, can you guys hear me? Let's check and see. Jeez, I don't know what happened with the space. We was all right, and then all of a sudden things froze up. Dana, can you hear me? Hey, Dana, can you hear me? Yeah, I think you might be right, Carolyn. I don't know what the hell happened there. Like the space just froze up. Can you guys hear me? And it knocked half of the people up out of there. So let me go ahead and close the space out. Dana, can you hear me? Yeah, it just knocked the space. I don't know what happened with the space. It just I don't know what's up with this Twitter shit. I know you can hear me because you on can y'all hear me? Yeah, space ended. Well, guys, we'll go ahead and we'll end on that note for tonight, Carolyn. I'm sorry about that, but I don't know what happened. But you know how these Twitter spaces are. Yeah, Twitter is a mess, but we'll be back tomorrow night, guys. Check us out. We're going to be doing this space on the ex-FSU football player, Travis Rudolph, who has a murder trial going on, and it is something else. So y'all make sure y'all come in and check us out tomorrow night. It's a mess, man. You got to come and see this space for yourself. So we're gonna be breaking it down exactly. The brother should have a great chance of getting off of stand your ground, but you'll see us tomorrow night. So everybody, peace on YouTube, and we'll holler at you guys tomorrow.